Okay, I'm going to start with a question. Who here has ever driven a car? Yep, okay. Most of you put your hands up. Now, for those of you who didn't put your hand up, I'm assuming that the most likely problem would be that you're too young. Is that right? Too young to get a license? Okay, well, I'm here to encourage you in the fact that you don't need to worry about that anymore. Okay? Because there's something coming and it's going to be good, okay? According to Business Insider, in the next 4 years, we will have driverless cars. How good is that? Yeah, I know. So imagine what you can do with a driverless car. Instead of having to worry about traffic, worry about crashing into things or what's going on around you, you can just sit in your car, hop on your phone, play some games or do your work before you get there. I mean, how good is that? So here's a picture of a self-driving car by Google. Doesn't look the best, does it? It's got some weird thing on the top, but we'll get to that later. Self-driving cars, unfortunately though, cannot drive themselves. Now what I mean by this is, yes, they can drive themselves, but we've got to teach them how. Now this begins with using certain technologies such as GPS and LiDAR, which is why it looks a bit funny. Now the creators of these technologies need to understand how they work and how we can use them with the car. This begins by learning about the use of the technology in such car. As teachers, we need to use ICT in our classroom. We need to teach it to our students so that they can get a learning for it and begin their journey understanding.
As teachers, it is important for us to make sure our students are able to effectively investigate, create, communicate, and manage ICT in society so that they can achieve their best potential in this ever-changing world, as stated by the information and communications capability in the general capabilities of the New South Wales curriculum. There are many strategies for incorporating and integrating ICT into the classroom, such as the flipped classroom, blended learning, and using the summer model. Let's take blended learning as an example. This is a flexible education program that takes the standard in-class lecture structure and incorporates the current distance learning strategies where segments of the class are conducted online. This fluidity between the in-class and online components allows them to complement and strengthen each other, leading to a better learning environment for the student overall.
That's right, Riley. It's extremely important as teachers that we keep our students up to date in the ICT skills that's always changing in this advancing world. From this point on, our TED Talk will be delving into our specific KLAs and how ICT is implemented in those. My KLA is a study of religion. Some say that ICT is not really important in study of religion, but it is important as any other one. ICT in study of religion aids to help with communication, and what I mean by that is the communication of ideas. If students are aided in this way, students will be able to help each other with ideas and sharpen those ideas to come to a sound, reasonable response. For an example of this, if we're talking about the origin of Islam, we can show exactly where that is on the Google Maps. So students will be able to see visually, and this will be able to give them context to what they're learning. ICT also helps the speed at which students are able to get tasks done. With the mundane tasks like writing notes achieved by voice recording, students are left with the higher order thinking at their fingertips. As teachers, we need to encourage higher order thinking. Students will be able to thrive much more greatly with the use of ICT in our classrooms.
As a maths teacher, I strive to have my students discovering new and revolutionary ways to solve problems. I know that ICT can unlock new pathways to success, and the use of technology in the classroom can greatly increase the learning potential of my students. Maths is a tool used by many disciplines to find solutions to everyday tasks, and there's an ever-increasing market for people who use technology to solve mathematical problems such as big data. There's also a market for those who can use computing for digital technology, use it and create it. Let's take an example of substitution in the maths classroom. We can take a physical textbook and replace it with a digital copy. Now this digital copy takes up less space than a physical textbook because it's lighter. It can also be searched with the digital functions, and it won't get physically damaged, which means we can save money with it. Another example is, say, the calculator. This has been around for a long time now, and it means we can do calculations without having to go through all the long way. It's a shortcut, basically. This gives more time for the students to understand the why and how of what they're doing, rather than the long computation. The research suggests that ICT in the maths classroom can greatly increase the benefits of the students by using technology to carry out the manual labour of computations or drawing. This frees the student to focus on strategies and encourages a process of trial and error.
These strategies also apply to a science classroom. But there are many other ways in which ICT can make a huge difference in a science class. One of the hardest challenges for a science teacher is having students actually visualize and see the concepts in action, rather than it just being a theory in their heads. Now, the traditional way in which teachers would go about doing that is with practicals. But oftentimes these can take quite a lot of time, use up a lot of resources that the school may not have, or be downright impossible to do. Like, you can't exactly have a practical demonstration of a nuclear bomb going off. Using ICT such as animations, videos, and simulation software can help to visualize the theories and show them in action more easily and quickly than practical experiments, allowing you to get through more content in a shorter time frame. Also, using spreadsheet software such as Microsoft Excel can aid when compiling data from experiments and allow students to construct accurate graphs with ease, allowing more focus on what the data says rather than the data itself.
Today we have learned how vitally important ICT is in our classrooms, but not only just in the classroom, but for students in their everyday lives. This world is going through some immense changes, and as teachers we need to be so cautious that we provide the right skills for the students to learn. As teachers, we are in essence sculpting the kids of the next generation, so we need to be so cautious that we impart the right knowledge of ICT in our classrooms. Thank you for watching.